Audie Murphy, the most decorated man of World War II, who went on to become a movie star, was found dead this afternoon in the wreckage of a light plane in the hills.
Audie Murphy remains one of America's most legendary soldiers, a man whose quiet determination and fearless heart carried him from a life of poverty in rural Texas to the battlefields of Europe and the bright lights of Hollywood. Behind the medals and movie posters stood a boy who had known hunger, loss, and the weight of responsibility long before he wore a uniform. His story begins not with glory, but with struggle, and it is in those early trials that the roots of his heroism were planted. To understand the soldier and the star, one must first meet the child who faced adversity with a courage that would later define a generation. Audie Leon Murphy entered the world on June 20th, 1925, in the small farming community of Kingston in Hunt County, Texas. He was the seventh of 12 children born to Emmett Barry Murphy and Josie Belle Killian, a couple who scraped together a living as tenant farmers during the harsh years between World War I and the Great Depression. Life in Kingston offered little comfort. The Murphys' Irish ancestry endowed their son with a natural resilience, but day-to-day survival was a test of endurance. Audie's name carried quiet significance. Josie Belle chose Audie Leon in part to honor two men who had shown her kindness during times when her husband was away. Those small acts of support mattered, for Emmett was unreliable and often absent, sometimes for weeks at a stretch. The household's fragile stability depended largely on Josie Belle's unyielding will. The children learned early to rely on one another, sharing chores and responsibilities far beyond their years. Poverty was constant. Food was scarce. Yet, amid the hard soil of deprivation, Audie absorbed the values of toughness and independence that would one day guide him through the crucible of war. Growing up as the seventh child in a family of 12 meant Audie lived in a perpetual crowd but rarely felt true security. The Murphys moved frequently across northeast Texas, chasing seasonal work and cheaper rent. Some days there was little more than cornmeal mush for dinner. His father's irregular presence made each day unpredictable, and the burden of keeping the household afloat fell heavily on Josie Belle and the older children. Audie's childhood, though short on comfort, was long on lessons in survival. He became adept at hunting small game to supplement meager meals and learned to endure heat, cold, and long hours of labor. Friends and neighbors would later recall a quiet boy with piercing blue eyes who carried himself with a seriousness beyond his age. These early years hardened him without hardening his heart. He developed a quiet determination that no setback could break. The values of endurance and self-reliance, taught not by lectures but by necessity, became part of his character and would later manifest on the battlefield when perseverance meant the difference between life and death. Despite the family's struggles, Audie did begin his education in local elementary schools in the small towns of Farmersville, Greenville, and Celeste. He proved a capable student and, when present, showed flashes of intelligence and curiosity. Yet attendance was a luxury the family could scarcely afford. By the time Audie reached the 5th grade, the relentless pull of poverty ended his formal schooling. The family needed every possible wage earner, and young Audie was old enough to help. He joined the ranks of countless Depression-era children who traded books for backbreaking labor. Cotton fields became his classroom. Under the blistering Texas sun, he spent endless hours picking bowls for pennies. The work toughened his body and instilled a relentless work ethic. More importantly, it gave him first-hand understanding of the daily struggles ordinary Americans faced during that harsh economic era. Each day in the fields etched into him the knowledge that success, any success, would come only through unyielding effort. Though he missed out on continued schooling, those cotton fields provided lessons in perseverance and quiet strength that no textbook could match. Just as Audie approached adulthood, tragedy struck with devastating force. In 1941, his beloved mother, Josie Belle, died, leaving the already fragile family in crisis. Audie, barely 16, was shattered. His mother had been the family's anchor, the steady presence who kept the household together despite poverty and a wayward husband. Her death meant more than grief. It meant the end of whatever stability they had known. With no single home to keep them, the younger Murphy children were placed in orphanages and foster homes, scattering the siblings across Texas. Audie suddenly found himself alone, responsible only to his own survival. He drifted through Greenville, taking any work he could find, farmhand, store clerk, odd jobs, just to keep a roof overhead and a bit of money in his pocket. Yet even in those uncertain months, a restless ambition stirred. He dreamed of a way out, a chance to rise above the hard lot life had handed him. World events soon offered that chance. As the United States moved closer to entering World War II, Audie saw the armed forces as both an escape and a mission, a path to steady income, a way to help his scattered siblings, and an opportunity to prove himself. Determined to enlist, Audie faced a daunting obstacle, his appearance. Barely 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing less than 120 pounds, he looked younger than his age. Recruiters from the Marines, the Navy, and even paratrooper units turned him away, but Audie refused to accept defeat. He repeatedly visited Army recruitment offices, adjusting paperwork and persisting until the Army finally relented. On June 30, 1942, shortly after his 17th birthday, Audie Murphy officially entered the United States Army. Basic training introduced him to military discipline and gave him the structure he had long lacked. Though small in stature, he quickly demonstrated natural marksmanship and an ability to endure rigorous drills without complaint. His instructors noted his serious demeanor and quiet focus, qualities that would serve him in combat. After advanced infantry training, Murphy received his assignment, Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. The boy who had once picked cotton under the Texas sun was now a soldier preparing to fight across oceans. Audie's first overseas deployment took him to French Morocco in North Africa, a region as hostile in climate as it was in conflict. The searing heat, rampant disease, and rugged terrain proved as challenging as the Axis forces themselves. Yet Murphy quickly earned a reputation for discipline and fearlessness. Fellow soldiers observed that he seldom complained and remained calm under pressure, traits that inspired confidence even among men older and larger than he was. By July 1943, as the Allies prepared for the critical invasion of Sicily, Murphy's leadership and skill were undeniable. He was promoted to corporal, a recognition of his growing responsibility and steady courage. The Sicily campaign was brutal but pivotal, loosening Axis control of the Mediterranean. In August, the 7th Infantry Regiment captured the vital port of Messina, securing the island and marking a significant Allied victory. Murphy's gallantry during the campaign did not go unnoticed. Before the year ended, he earned another promotion, this time to sergeant, cementing his reputation as a soldier of exceptional ability and resolve. The following year, 1944, placed Audie Murphy squarely in the crucible of combat. In August, he distinguished himself during Operation Dragoon, the Allied invasion of southern France. His unit faced fierce German resistance, and Murphy repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire to lead his men and repel counterattacks. His relentless determination and tactical ingenuity impressed both peers and superiors. Promoted to second lieutenant, he shared in the honor when the 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment received the Presidential Unit Citation, one of the U.S. Army's highest collective awards. As Allied forces pushed into northeastern France that September, the fighting intensified. Time and again, Murphy volunteered for dangerous missions, whether to scout enemy positions, rescue wounded comrades, or direct artillery under fire. Medals and commendations accumulated, each one a testament to his uncommon valor. Soldiers who fought beside him spoke of a man who seemed almost fearless, yet was motivated not by recklessness, but by duty to his fellow soldiers. These experiences forged him into one of the most decorated combat soldiers of the war. By early 1945, Murphy's reputation was legendary within the 3rd Infantry Division. During the battle for the Colmar Pocket in France, he led one of the campaign's most decisive counterattacks. When his company was threatened by overwhelming German forces, he climbed onto a burning tank destroyer and used its .50 caliber machine gun to hold off enemy troops for more than an hour, even as flames licked around him. He then organized a successful counter-assault, turning potential disaster into victory. For this extraordinary heroism, Audie Murphy received the Medal of Honor, the United States' highest military award, along with numerous other decorations from both American and Allied forces. He was promoted to first lieutenant and later assigned as a liaison officer, a role that removed him from constant combat, but underscored the trust his superiors placed in his judgment and leadership. By war's end, Murphy stood as one of the most highly decorated soldiers in American history, a symbol of courage and sacrifice. When peace finally came, Audie Murphy faced the challenge of transforming from war hero to civilian. In 1950, he was commissioned as a captain in the 36th Infantry Division of the Texas National Guard, ensuring that his connection to the military remained strong. Yet a surprising new path opened: Hollywood. Producers recognized that the young man with the modest demeanor and dazzling record could bring unmatched authenticity to war films. Murphy accepted the challenge, beginning a career that would span more than 40 movies. His most famous role came in 1955 with To Hell and Back, the film adaptation of his own best-selling autobiography. Playing himself, he gave audiences a vivid, unflinching portrayal of combat as only a true soldier could. The movie became one of Universal Pictures' most successful releases of the decade and made Murphy a familiar face far beyond military circles. Despite his burgeoning fame, he maintained his ties to service. In 1956, he was promoted to major in the U.S. Army Reserve, a testament to his ongoing commitment to the armed forces even as his acting career flourished. Throughout the 1960s, Murphy continued to balance his film career with military involvement and veterans advocacy. He remained a member of the Texas National Guard until his discharge roughly a decade after his 1956 promotion, but he never stopped championing the needs of fellow soldiers. He spoke publicly about the challenges veterans faced, especially those suffering from what would later be recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder, at a time when such topics were rarely discussed. By May 1969, Audie Murphy was celebrated not only as a war hero and film star, but also as a tireless supporter of servicemen and women. His legacy endures as a symbol of bravery, humility, and unwavering dedication to country and comrades. From a cotton-picking boy in Texas to the most decorated combat soldier of World War II, Audie Murphy's journey remains one of the most inspiring American stories ever told. Away from the battlefield and the movie set, Audie Murphy sought the ordinary joys of family life. In 1949, he married actress Wanda Hendricks, but the union proved brief and turbulent, ending in divorce after just a year. 2 years later, he wed Pamela Archer, a former airline stewardess who provided the steady companionship he had long craved. Together, they raised 2 sons, Terry Michael and James Shannon, giving Murphy the close-knit household he himself had missed as a child. Despite fame and financial success, he remained modest and soft-spoken, often preferring quiet evenings at home to Hollywood parties. Friends described him as a man of contrasts, outwardly calm and polite, yet carrying the invisible weight of wartime memories. He enjoyed horseback riding, hunting, and the Texas outdoors, finding solace in simple pleasures that connected him to his rural roots. Behind Audie's composed exterior lurked the lingering shadows of combat. He suffered from what was then called battle fatigue, a condition now recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder. Sleepless nights, vivid flashbacks, and sudden bouts of anxiety haunted him for years. Instead of hiding these difficulties, Murphy bravely spoke out, one of the first public figures to shed light on the psychological scars of war. He often slept with a loaded pistol under his pillow, an emblem of how deeply the war remained within him. Gambling losses and occasional financial troubles added to the strain, yet he never allowed these struggles to define him. Instead, he used his platform to advocate for better treatment and understanding of veterans, helping pave the way for future mental health awareness among soldiers returning from combat. As Hollywood's golden age shifted in the 1960s, Murphy explored other pursuits. He invested in real estate, ranching, and various business ventures, some successful and others less so. He remained a recognizable figure, appearing in television shows and taking occasional film roles. But his priorities leaned increasingly toward providing for his family and supporting veterans' causes. Though the glare of movie stardom dimmed, his reputation as a genuine American hero never waned. Public appearances, speaking engagements, and charity events kept him in the national eye, while his humility and accessibility endeared him to fans who admired both the soldier and the man. On May 28, 1971, tragedy struck. Audie Murphy was aboard a private plane traveling through heavy fog toward Roanoke, Virginia, when the aircraft crashed into Brush Mountain. Everyone on board was killed. He was just 45 years old. News of his death sent shockwaves across the nation. Flags were lowered, and tributes poured in from military leaders, fellow actors, and countless ordinary Americans who saw in him a symbol of courage and sacrifice. His sudden passing underscored the brevity of a life lived with relentless intensity. From the cotton fields of Texas to the deadly front lines of Europe and the bright screens of Hollywood, Audie Murphy was laid to rest with full military honors in Arlington National Cemetery, his gravesite quickly becoming one of the most visited in the entire cemetery. A simple white headstone marks his resting place. Yet it speaks volumes. Beneath it lies the most decorated American combat soldier of World War II. In addition to the Medal of Honor, his decorations included the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, the Legion of Merit, and countless other U.S. and foreign awards. Memorials, schools, and highways across the country bear his name, ensuring that generations who never saw him fight still remember his valor and devotion. Decades after his death, Audie Murphy's life continues to inspire soldiers, filmmakers, and ordinary citizens. His autobiography, To Hell and Back, remains a classic of war literature, and the film adaptation still resonates for its unflinching realism. More importantly, his openness about the psychological toll of combat helped destigmatize what we now recognize as PTSD, encouraging future veterans to seek help without shame. Murphy's journey from a fatherless boy picking cotton to a Medal of Honor recipient in Hollywood star embodies the idea that greatness can spring from the humblest beginnings. His courage on the battlefield was matched by his quiet